Welcome to the show. This is your show about those who dare to dream and go beyond the norm to change their lives and the lives of others for the better. I am Pule Mulebati, bringing you this week's edition of Bophelong. A game changer from East London in the Eastern Cape is arming people with physical limitations with tools to live beyond those limitations and regain their independence. Through her work as an occupational therapist, Andiswa has been able to bring about much needed focus on issues that affect people with physical disabilities. We recently took a trip to her practice, and this is what took place. Meet Andiswa, a daughter, a wife, a mother, a sister, and an occupational therapist helping people to live and not just exist. Here's a story of triumph which demonstrates that success can be attained regardless of one's starting point. And this is exactly where Andiswa started.
Ndikhulele East London. Actually, siqale sahlala eMdantsane. Ndisayikhumbula very well inamba yendlu yasekhaya sahlala eMdantsane. It was 1925. Kwa-9, ko-19, you know, eMdantsane is divided into sections. And then we moved to Ekombo. I think it was 1996.
Uye elowa primary esemncinane. In 5 years, ngenxa ubonakala ukuba unoko ngumntana okrelekrele and enye into ke i-primary school ikufutshane ukuthi babe sihlala eMdantsane e-NU9 wafunda ke apho e-primary engumntana ewe onazo neetshomi zakhe ezidla adlala nazo wathi ugqiba i-lower primary school yakhe wahamba waya e-higher primary.
Ukufunda ndifundele eMdantsane ngiqala eNkqubela, and then I went to Dixon Jani. Then I moved to Mthatha. At the time kukhona riots. My father was like, we can never be involved with politics, so wasishipha ke so hlale Transkei. That's when sakwazi uqhubeka and we didn't stop. And then ndabuya ke ndazofunda eEbenezer where I completed grade 12 ke.
Uye wabonakala waziqwesa engumuntu ke othandwayo endlini kakhulu kuba besimbukela isikakhulu wethandwa kakhulu utata wakhe eyintombazana eyayifana notata wakhe kakhulu emthanda imibuzo ayibuzayo Andiswa bekufuneka ukuthi uyiphendule kakuhle ungaphenduli nje uphendulele into afuna uyazi.
Her maths teacher, now turned mentor, spoke about Andiswa's school days.
I found Andiswa to be a student who was always ready to learn. You would never ask her to take out the books from her book bag, and all the time she was ready to learn. She was that type of a student who was always willing to learn.
Education was always the #1 priority demonstrated to her by her parents.
Umama ekukhuleni kwakhe never had an opportunity to learn. You know, her story was very difficult to ukhule kanzima. So she said she does not want to compromise ngabantwana bakhe. Hence, she would do anything for her education. And fortunately, wadibana notata naye who had same principles. Nakulotata kungafundwanga kangako, but they told themselves bonukuthi they will make sure that abantwana babo baya progressa in life. I was in one of the first 3 in class, right? But not necessarily #1. It would be #2 or #3. But umntu that was clever than me was my brother. But if I can say, I was not a quiet one. If we need a class, principal, I would be that child who says, yeah, me, you know. Yeah, so, but I was always active and very serious about school.
Andiswa was not the type of a learner who waited for you as an educator to say, wait, this is time for you to ask questions. You see, she asked questions in the process of my teaching, and you know, she created a space for me to engage with other learners, and you know, she was always ready to elaborate and explain her thinking, which is foundational to, you know, meaningful teaching and learning of mathematics.
I was a physics and science maths student. In maths, I loved it. So I also had chosen to partake in various programs like in tech program, East London, a business program, a business development program for Abantwana base Ebenezer. So I was involved in such things. And even Nangogo Senqabezelo grade 12 for Ebenezer, I was one of the 4 students as a Fumano exemption at that year, which is, it was an achievement.
Brought up under a stable family, she used every opportunity given to her to even further her studies after matric. She pursued a career in occupational therapy.
I studied AUDW, the OT, and I must say that within the OT profession, you know, it normally takes 4 years, but I had a SAP last year, so it took me a year later. That is critical for me because abantwana abaninzi bathi xa bene hiccups, they drop out. And it does not mean that when you fail, you should drop out, you know. So it was not a complete failure, but I had to, you know, uba ndibuye.
Uzondothusa e-high school. Xa iyayimini athi imini ye-career classes. Wabuya esixelele okokuba uzawuthatha i-occupational therapist. So usaqonda uba notata, yintoni liza nalo mntana, zange sive, zange apha ebomini, because thina sazi ngexesha lethu bekufundwa ibingunesi, ngutishara, ilipolisa, asayazi enye into. Weza nale nansika nale ecareer lo mntana esithi ukhethe yona, asayazi uba uzakwenza ntoni ngayo.
And fast forward to many years later, she's now one of the most respected OTs in the Eastern Cape and KZN, where she runs Andiswa Goa practice.
I always felt that I wanted to be closer to people with disabilities. I wanted to understand them more. And for me, I'm the believer in the empathy versus the sympathy, because I want to see everybody being equal and being able to excel. An industrial psychologist assessed me. Yati Andiswa, when you can either be a social worker because of the personality and the my compassionate kind of for people with disabilities. So she said, you can either be a social worker, a psychologist, or an occupational therapist. And I said, I know these two. I want the one in Gayazi.
Andiswa Goa practice has now been running for several years, with branches in East London and in Durban. And since the practices deal with mainly occupational therapy, we first had to ask Andiswa to clearly define what occupational therapy is.
OT is about functioning yomntu generally. That is, umntu wakhona, we look at someone holistically, including functioning your psychology, functioning your physical. That's the basic. Then what is key in that is that someone kufuneka sibheke kakhulu the functioning and whether this person can be able to go back to their occupation. Then the physio yona is different in the sense that one looks at the impairment and the physical problems. So let's say we take someone on a stroke who comes into hospital. The physiotherapist will do the physical rehabilitation in terms of passive mobilization, stretching, and so forth. But the OT, okay, fine, the physio has done that, but let me make sure that you can dress yourself, you can eat independently, you can function independently so that you can go back to society with normal functioning. When you assess someone with range of movement, both physio and OT, they do that assessment because both of us want to know, good, when I'm teaching you something as an OT, I want to know, good, can you be able to take the spoon to the mouth? So I won't be able to start there if I don't know a range of movement.
Andiswa started from nothing, but she has now managed to equip her practices with the necessary tools.
The office I could not even fit a wheelchair. I didn't even have assessment tools or treatment tools. So I told myself, I'm going to work towards equipping the practice. So I was lucky enough, but because I was one of the first black OTs to get into the market at that time, and most doctors welcomed me. And then also I got introduced to a medical legal world where attorneys started to use me, and they taught me, they gave me other OTs reports. Because you are black, sometimes you don't have access to other people's reports, and I don't even remember that I had an email at that point. So they used to photocopy various reports, and then they would say, read this, Andiswa, and then try and attempt to do the medical legal work.
And this is what the practice is all about.
What we do in this practice is that we run mostly 90% of the medical legal work, and we deal with personal injury claims. And we also do medical boarding assessments for the insurance companies and risk managers as well. And then we assist in some, like at a very minimal extent, the vocational rehabilitation for who who have been injured at work and who needs to go back to work. And then lastly, and my baby that I like so much is the access audits, the ones that where you go into a building and assess whether the building is accessible to people with disabilities. And the challenge is that most people, when they think about accessibility, they think only for people who've got mobility problems like the wheelchair users and the crutches. Let me give you an example. If, let's say, someone is partially blind and they cannot see the color and is a male, and then they have to go into the loo, and you know there are urinaries there, they are white in color. So imagine someone who cannot have who cannot see, you know, then they will have to touch in order to be able to, you know, urinate. So you need now as an OT to come and look at color contrasting so that they can be able to pick up the urinary against the background. EAGP has got about 10 occupational therapists, and then I've got another baby that is called Semi Healthcare Solutions, where we share services. So altogether, there's about 38 staff members. Excluding the consultants that we normally use for logistics and so forth. Altogether, there's 38. Then out of that 38, there's 10 OTs, and then there's management, the human resource, the finance, the operations manager, and so forth.
Stembiso Mbele, an attorney and a friend of Andiswa, sends most of his clients to AGP. He explained his working relationship with Andiswa.
The mere fact that I'm also practicing as a lawyer, so part of the work that we do most is that of litigation. So more often than not, you'll find that we have a bulk of MVA work-related matters, so which we often refer it to people like occupational therapists, of which Andiswa is one of them. So she does quite a lot of work in terms of preparing for us our medical legal report in order for us to go and argue the legal matters in court.
Why does he refer his clients to AGP?
If you look at the quality of the work that she does and the manner in which, even if client comes into their offices, from the onset, the reception that you get gives you that impression that the service that you are going to get here is the one that you really aspire to get.
What we strive to do is to be the best in terms of assessment so that people can remember us, you know. But with treatment, unfortunately, we don't get that kind of gratification to take someone up until the end. But what we also do is that whenever there's a patient or whenever there's someone, we feel there's a need to intervene. If let's say we've got a child on a colostomy bag and it's not clean, we make sure that let's assist that mother to be able to make sure that a colostomy bag is done, is clean, you know. Or if let's say someone has got crutches as the stoppers up as we make sure that we provide those by the time a pumanga zujibilika atin out. So it's those kind of gestures that we can do and people respond positively to those.
Andiswa has gone beyond the mark of just being an OT. She identifies youngsters that she can groom under her wing. And 27-year-old Simunge, an attorney at AGP, is just one of many.
Bengenza i-LLB. Ngisithola i-sponsorship sa-government esangisponsorisha unyaka wodwa kuphela. And then wahamba lowo nyaka waphela. And bese kufike ngiqale phansi ngithole enye funding sengivele sengiyiphakathi esikoleni. Kuyinkinga ukuthola ifunding usukade une-previous sponsor. I-preference iqale kulabafundi labo abasuke befika for the following year. So manje mangisi ngiyakuzama uNasFAS ngiyawuthola kodwa bangitshela ngendaba ye-family contribution. And akekho umuntu ozongikhokhela ngoba abazali bobabili bese beqalile sebehola impatient boba u2. So ngaqala ngabothi ngizosizwa ubani-ke manje. Ngase ngiyahlala for 2 or 3 years singasafunda esikoleni sengidane nje ngarelax ngathi cha shothi akudaliwe. And then ngase ukuhamba uma nobaba bahamba ukukhuluma naye uAndiswa. And then kwakuyisonto ntambama. And then wathi angifike ngakusasa. So baqale bangibuza bathi ngiplana ukwenzani. Yebo bese ngiaccessa nami ukuthi ngumuntu onjani. Ngoba i-investment enzima lapho bafuna ukuyenza ukuthi bazokhokhela umuntu for a period of 2 years wonke. Abazange bacele transcript, abafuna academic record. Bazane bangibuka nje kanje bathi ufuna uqala nini. And lapho I'm like, angazi kodwa nje ayikho inkinga ungaqala the following semester ngoba bese kuphakathi nesemester. Kwathi bazi bangikhokhela ama-fees previous year. And then bathi angike ngaqala ke ngiqhubeke ngifunda. And then bebengibona nje abantu akade bengikhokhela bekunikeza ne-stipend senyanga nama-academic fees bakhokhela bona ne-stationery bona kade besikhokhela.
All his hard work and Andiswa's assistance has paid off.
Sasiqeda kuba ne-morning prayer la on a Monday, kwase sibe ne-morning prayer la e-officeini, and mase ngiyayiprinta sengiyamtshengisa ngithi nakho-ke kuthiwa degree completed. Yo endlela ayijabule ngayo.
It's better to give someone education or something to do than actually saying, no, take this bread, take this money and so forth, because I feel like most people that are black don't have the opportunities. You know, it's hard. We come from different families, and sometimes it's hard. So I'm a believer in God, and when people approach me, I normally pray about it and say, God, what do you want me to do in this situation?
Beyond the comfortable and air-conditioned offices, Andiswa regularly does an outreach in communities where she also does basic assessments with patients. This time around, she went to Wanyuswa just outside Durban to surprise an old woman with a new wheelchair. Her first wheelchair was also bought by Andiswa after her leg was amputated because of diabetes. Andiswa then assessed Gogo before introducing her to the new chair.
The way I look at it is not about her rendering her professional services, but she goes beyond that, trying to understand even your historical background and see how best she can assist. That on its own, by the way, leaves an indelible mark insofar as the kind of the service that person offers. And even ourselves as lawyers, we feel good, in fact, it's like we are indebted to her, because you know, the sooner you refer a person to her company, you are definitely sure that the service that she's going to get is one of the best. Simple as that.
Ndiyamvuyela ngoku kuba nami nokungoku nditshilekile kwizinto azenzayo ebendingazazi.
Those around her may be feeling very proud, but Andiswa feels that AGP is not where she wants it to be yet, but it will get there.
It's still a small business, but our vision is to, at least by the end of this year, to be a medium-sized business, because we want to grow in terms of the numbers and we want to grow in terms of the revenue, you know. I always say it becomes difficult for OTs because it took me a long time to be able to start and become a business person and not an OT. So we want to strive and become better at so that we can be the first Black-owned medium-sized type OT.
She shared some of her dreams.
Even if we are local, we need to think globally. That's our mantra, actually. And then we want to get into the SADC area and we want to get international. Because I believe that as South Africans, we look at South Africa alone. You know, if I grew up in East London, I don't want to move away from East London. And if I manage to move away from East London and go to bigger cities like Joburg, Durban, I want to remain there. But my issue is that the world is our oyster.
Ndinqwenela uba abantwana bafunde kuba ngoku namhlanje bazawubona uba hey nanku usisi wethu waseGombo uyabona kusithiwa wenze into ezinjena ezinhle.
Even if uphuma kwi-primary school enjani, you know, you can always persevere and go through in life or succeed, you know. I think I'm the story, my life testifies to that, because if you look at where I came from in Tanzania to where I am now, it's a vast difference. And I think we must know that there's a potential in there.
And at the end of the day, this is where she draws all her strength from.
And if I was not the child of God. Mama Mkize and Baba Mkize, Hammersdale, Emmanuel Zion Christian Center, they are my spiritual parents, and I've got sisters and the brothers, that close-knit family that is extended, and then my core family now, because my husband, oh, I don't even know what to say, and my children, you know. So it's not just one thing, it's God first, and then the community of people that I live with, and my parents, my mother.
Just a young woman born and bred in the streets of Gompo with goals so strong who focused her heart and mind to her vision. A quote by Ginny Stoffel says, occupational therapists ask what matters to you and not what's the matter with you. And Andiswa, that's exactly what you've done. And for that, Bophelong salutes you.
Once again, we are reminded by Andiswa's story that true success is when you're able to uplift others and take them to greater heights with you. We would like to thank Andiswa for sharing her story with us, and you at home for watching. Remember, you can also get in touch with us and share your story. Who knows, you might as well be at your doorstep. Our contact details are at the bottom of your screen. That's it for today, and that's goodbye from us here on this show.